Welcome back, listeners, to the latest episode of Yeah, I Said It. And the title of this program is simply The Steelers Have to Keep This Defense Intact. But before I jump into the meat and gravy of the program, I want to say a big up to Steeler Nation. I want to say a big up to everybody that is tuning into Brunch with Big Swa. Yes, while I am on vacation for the next several weeks, the Friday show is going to be around this time slot, around 11 a.m. So make sure you set your clocks for that. And we're going to do it around that time because since I'm on vacation, there's no need for me to wait until the end of the day. Want to give a big shout out to everybody who's jumped into the live chat. And again, the name of this episode is The Steelers Have to Keep This Defense Intact. And if you want to keep this defense intact, you want to keep listening to programs like this, make sure you hit the super chat, get your questions up, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like the videos. I want to give a big shout out to Dave Schofield, the Oracle. I want to give a big shout out to my co-host of The Standard is the Standard and the editor-in-chief of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, Jeff Hartman. And I also want to give a big shout out to Who's Bad, Brian Anthony Davis and Tony Defio. Now, the reason I wanted to do this show, and I want to give a big shout out to Ian Whetstone, my salary cap sensei, who's taught me everything that I know about the salary cap. I want to also give a big shout out to Jim Wexell of SteelCityInsider.net. And Ian wrote a fantastic article about the challenges that the Steelers are going to have in free agency when it comes to keeping this defense together. Because I think all of Steeler Nation right now is extremely excited about the potential of this defense moving forward, particularly with Ben Roethlisberger coming back. And we're all going to assume that Ben Roethlisberger will play at his Hall of Fame level and performance moving forward. Now, with that being said, Steeler Nation can just see it in their minds. We can just see it in our minds that if Ben Roethlisberger comes back healthy with this defense, that's a potential for a championship. Now, we're living in an era and a time going into the 2020 season where, and I'm going to guess that the Patriots will not win their seventh championship. That team up north, like I like to call it. And I'm going to assume that the Steelers will still have 6, obviously, and the Patriots will have 6. And we're going to be both striving and doing everything we can to get that 7th. I feel comfortable when the Steelers are alone at the top of the mountaintop, looking down on Mount Footballists and sneering at the little minions. So I feel comfortable with that. For that to happen, the Steelers have to get to 7 Super Bowls. And I'm going to go into some of the points that Ian Whetstone talked about in his article on Behind the Steel Curtain, not Behind the Steel Curtain.net, SteelersInsider.net on Jim Wexell's site. Big up to Jim Wexell. Let me go through the points that he laid out. He kind of synthesized it for me. Number one, and the issues that the Steelers are facing when it comes to this. First, I want to give you a competitive salary for Zadarius Smith, who plays for the Packers, who signed a deal last year on average of $16.5 million with a $20 million signer's bonus. And he had fewer than 20 sacks at the time. We all know that Alvin Bud Dupree has more sacks than that in his career. And when I say keep this defense intact, namely, I am talking about Bud Dupree and the gravedigger, Javon Hargrave. I'm talking about Hargrave and Dupree. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about keeping this defense together. Now, that's your comp, Zadarius Smith. And in the article, Ian Whetstone estimates that the franchise tag for an outside linebacker will be roughly $16 million. So here are the points and the issues I want to make on the challenges of keeping this defense intact. One, they're tight against the cap. And I want to ask you guys a question. and I want you to ponder this in the live chat. Can a team realistically afford $40 million allocated for 2 edge rushers? Now, we all know that TJ Watt is going to get his money. And if TJ Watt stays healthy, presumably he stays healthy, his production will stay the same or around the same. Let's assume those things. He's going to get Aaron Donald money, like on average $23 million a year type money. He's going to get highest paid player in the National Football League type money. So let me ask you guys again in the live chat, and I want you to ponder this. Can a team afford $40 million plus for 2 edge rushers? So now let me give you some details and some nuggets. The estimate is that the NFL salary cap is going to go up to about $200 million. As we stand today, the Steelers have 45 players allocated at $197 million in cap charges. They're going to roll over $3 million in unused cap from 2019, so they'll have $6 million in cap space. If you've been listening, if you got a franchise tag, Alvin Bud Dupree, at $16 million, guess what's not going to happen? $6 million ain't going to cover that. And let's keep that $6 million in mind when I make this point. Keep this in mind. The $6 million in cap space that they have next year will likely not even cover all of their exclusive restricted free agents and restricted free agents, of whom Hilton and Matt Filer are. So when you're talking about keeping this defense intact, that also includes keeping Mike Hilton. The other big issue with creating the cap space necessary to keep this defense intact is because the NFL is in the last year of the CBA, teams are restricted by the 30% rule, meaning you can't push out too much salary beyond 30% into future years, which limits the savings that you can get from normal contract restructures. So normally what teams do to get cap space is they rob Peter to pay Paul. You have a salary or somebody on the books. In this case, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's Ben Roethlisberger. And I saw in the live chat that somebody said that Ben Roethlisberger's cap number is killing the Steelers. And I wouldn't agree with that entirely. I think the issue for the Steelers, more so than anything, is the fact that you have a couple of critical players that need to be retained, and they're going into the final cap year. So because they're going into the final year of the CBA, the savings that the Steelers can get from restructures from a total of all their contracts is limited to roughly $10 million. So they're screwed in the sense that they're coming into this final year of the CBA, and they don't have the normal machinations that they can do, that they can create cap space with. And that's really the issue that's crippling in them, because they don't have the 30% rule at their disposal. And let me give you Ben's cap number. And let me give you an illustration of what I mean about restructuring a deal. So in 2019, let's just go for 2020. So right now in 2019, I'll give you Ben's numbers. His base salary is $2.5 million. His prorated bonus is 18.7, roster bonus of 5, cap number of 26. He counts for 13.9% of the cap. Now in 2020, typically what would happen would be that base salary can be reduced, let's say, for this example, to $2.5 million. The rest of that $6 million could be stretched over the last 2 years of his deal to lessen his cap hit, which would give them cap space. But because Ben has limited years remaining, you can't squeeze a lot of juice out of that. So you have issues with restructuring and you have issues with extensions because you can't push too much money into the future because of the 30% rule. So the 30% rule leaves them with another way in which they can create space. And I'm going to agree vehemently with Quason White. The grave digger is important. The reason he is important is because of what Quason White said in his next comment. Tuitt was unblockable before getting hurt, but he gets hurt. And I would argue that grave diggers' skill set is really rare. The ability to plug, the ability to play in sub-package defense and in base and get heat. So he is a plugger that gets pressure, that can play in nickel, dime alignments. He can play in all types of iterations of their defense. 1-5-5, 2-4-5, any iteration of it, nickel, base, all of it. He can play in all their sub-packages because he has the ability to get to the quarterback. So because they're hampered by the 30% rule, the only real way for them to get cap space is to get it through cuts. Now, let me give you a name of some individuals that to get, because we're talking about 16 million. So when you're on the live chat and you say, cut Connor, well, Connor's not going to give you enough juice or enough salary to get to that number. When you're talking about trying to clear 16 million in cap space, you've got to cut guys that have a lot of cap space that count largely to the cap number. So let me give you an example. And let me find Connor, and I'm going to look quickly on here, and big up to overthecap.com. They do a fantastic job. Connor's cap number is only $844,000. So here are some names that Ian illustrated in his article. You could cut Chicolo, get $5 million. You could cut Barron, get 5.25. You could cut Vance, get 5.67. You could cut Ramon Foster, get $4 million. That'll give you the savings there. If you needed savings from other places, you could cut Hayward, 9.5. You could cut Ben, 8.5. You could cut DeCastro, $7 million. You could cut Pouncey, $5 million. You can cut Villanueva, $5 million. But if you cut any of those players outside of Chicolo, how are we keeping the defense intact? If you cut Barron or if you cut Vance, how are you keeping the defense intact? The job that they have to figure out is how to keep this defense intact, because the defense is on the verge of being a championship type group. So when you look at those cuts that they could create cap space, you can't really do most of those, again, except for Chicolo, because if you did those, you wouldn't be a championship team. The only thing that is going to get the Steelers out of this predicament, and let me give you some other numbers real quick before I get to that point. So we're only talking about clearing 16 million, right? That's all we're talking about. However, they need about, and Ian estimates, they need about 25 million in order to do the following: sign a rookie class, tender Hilton and Feeler, and the other restricted free agents, field a full-time roster, sign a practice squad, and this is all before signing any street free agents. Amir Khan, Kevin Colbert, Mike Tomlin, they are going to have to do some magic here. And Knight Rider 16, that's terrible. Knight Rider 16, you can never say anything bad about Ryan Shazier in the group chat. If you're in the group chat, please spank Knight Rider 16. We can never say anything about that. And Ryan O'Toole, this is all with Mr. Third and Fifth giving back the $17 million. They have significant cap issues, which is going to make it a challenge. Now, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Now, if you want to check the numbers, go to overthecap.com and search for the Pittsburgh Steelers and hit the 2020 tab. I'm going to give you the exact number. Total cap liabilities, $197, $830, $414. Team cap space estimated is $5.5 million. So the issues are there. Go do the research yourself. Here is the only thing that can save them. And this may happen or it may not happen. What can save them is if there is a new CBA before March. If there is a new CBA in place before March, the issue with the 30% rule goes away. It goes away. It's all gone. And all of the normal cap machinations and maneuverings that they can do can be done. But there is no easy solution here. And this is why winning is so difficult in the National Football League, is because by the time it all gets to, like, everything has to fit, right? Your cap has to be right. Your player, your roster has to be right. Your quarterback situation has to be right. Health has to be right. Scheduling has to be right. And you got to get breaks on the football field. There are so many elements that have to line up for you to win a championship, is why it is so impressive that the Pittsburgh Steelers have 6 championships. I don't really have a solution with this. I'm just panicked because right when the defense gets right, we got this issue. Now, let me ask you guys in the live chat. How important do you feel Javon Hargrave is to the Pittsburgh Steelers? Now, I've said it on this podcast. I think his presence, given the fact that Tua does not stay healthy, is critical. It's absolutely critical. Now, Knight Rider 16, you have not been listening to me. We are talking about, so Knight Rider 16 writes, franchise tag Bud Dupree. To franchise tag a player, you have to have the cap space immediately on your books. That's $16 million. They have $5 million under the cap. They need to get roughly to $25 million to do the things that I've described. Sign Dupree, sign exclusive rights free agents, street free agents, fill the roster. They need $25 million to do this. So that's 16 plus 9, 25, Knight Rider. It's not so simple as just franchising Bud Dupree. They don't have the space. And big up to Stephen O'Neal. Let's do a GoFundMe. Let's do a GoFundMe for the Steelers. If you want to keep this defense intact, you may need to do a GoFundMe. You may need to do a GoFundMe. We raise $25 million and give it to the Steelers to be able to do it. But here's the thing. They couldn't even use that. That'd probably go to parking. I don't know what the deal would be. So let's just say this, right? What Bud Dupree is, because people are asking what the deal would be. And let's just say this. With Bud Dupree, what happens is the franchise number kind of is used as the negotiating point. So the average contract is going to have to be at minimum the franchise tag. That's why I gave the comp to start the show with. And let me give you the comp. Zadarius Smith, $16.5 million, $20 million signing bonus. And he had fewer than 20 sacks. I mean, riddle me this. You're in a live chat. If you are Bud Dupree's agent and you look at Zadarius Smith, you're saying we're better than Zadarius Smith. You know, we're better than Zadarius Smith. I mean, no shade to Zadarius Smith, but All Bud Dupree is going to do is line up his stats to Zadarius Smith and say, we're better. We need more cash. We need more moolah. We need more money. There's no easy solution here. Hopefully a new CBA will be intact, and this will all be a mute point and a mute issue. But it's just unfortunate that all of this comes at this time. If the labor agreement was ending in 2021, this wouldn't be an issue. They franchise Bud, and they probably offer a contract to Hargrave. But I don't know if they value that position like that. I suspect what they're going to do is they'll let Hargrave walk. They'll look for a replacement in the draft. That's what they'll do. And they'll try to cut players to try to make some space for Bud Dupree. That's what I think will happen. The cuts will be painful, though. But they got to keep this defense intact. They have to. Because when you couple this defense with Ben Roethlisberger, and I'm going to agree with Quayshawn White a bit here. I feel like we've already too much invested in interior defensive linemen to keep Hargrave. Might have to let him go and draft someone else. I think they are going to do that. They are going to value the edge position more than an interior defensive lineman and try to get the same production like they got with Hargrave through the draft. But this is a time where they need to also go out and sign free agents. There are some holes on the offensive side of football that need to be plugged in. They don't have a ton of playmakers. In my opinion, they need a wide receiver. They also need a running back. They might need 2 running backs. So there are a lot of issues to plug in for this team, but it's unfortunate that it may not work. Now, Haas H says, so Lance, you're saying Bud is worth $40 and $60 million. I'm saying Bud is probably worth 4 years at, if Zadarius Smith, the averages are $16.5 million, I would say the averages for Bud will probably be around $18 million, $18.5 million. And TJ Watt would probably be around $23 million. So if you go 4 into 18, you do the math. 4 into or 18 times 4, you do the math. That's $72 million. So I'm talking around, 4 years, $70 million, but the contracts are going to be 5-year deals. That's the maximum amount of time you can stretch a contract out. So it'll be a 5-year deal. So do 5 times 18. We're probably talking a 5-year, $90 million deal, 5-year, $85 million deal. That's what you have to do. Victory Asher said Ramon Foster got to be gone. That is a possibility. You could slot BJ Finney in there to create cap space, but then that means you absolutely have to re-sign Matt Filer to keep Matt Filer at your right tackle position. So you slot in BJ Finney at the guard, keep Filer at the right tackle. I would sign up for that. I would absolutely would sign up for that. So Haas H, I see you're doing the math. Add a year, make it 5 years, and then that's your deal right there. That's your averages right there. So, that's where the Steelers are. Now, it's not a big deal right now because, they might sign the CBA. The CBA might get done and this all goes away. That's what I'm hoping for. But to Maxwell McCormick, the problem is, and I keep trying to say it to you guys, is that, and he wrote, Lance, if we restructure Ben Pouncey's deals, then cut Chick, we're on our way. The problem is you can't get the cap space that you normally would get in a restructure because of the last year of the CBA and the 30% rule. I would agree with you 1,000%. If this were 2019 or 2018, then it would be easy. There would be no issue in trying to get the space. But they can't get the space. And let me give you the number again. Is that they are limited to $10 million total for restructures because of the 30% rule. So let's say they get that $10 million, right? You're going to have to then cut Chickalo, and then you're going to have to make another cut. Those are your cuts. So maybe they go that way. They do restructures. They do all the restructures that they can get the $10 million, and then they cut Chicolo. Maybe they go that route, but they've got to cut Chicolo and another player because we're estimating again that the franchise tag for that position will be $16 million. What if it's $17 million? So it's going to be tough. I mean, it's tough. It's not going to be easy because part of this is, keeping this defense intact. And Max makes, and let me get to Maxwell again. He brings up a great point. And Amir Khan, I trust. I know that Amir Khan and the Pittsburgh Steelers brass is thinking about this. I know they are. I know they're thinking about this. Tom Vallejo, big up to Tom Vallejo, the name of my town. And I'm wondering, Tom Vallejo, are you related to the Vallejo that plays in the National Football League, or in fact related to the Vallejo family that the city in California is named after? And he wrote, Arizona would gladly take Ben, but why would you want to get rid of him? We'll see how Duck does this week. If he sucks it up, Duck can't be the starting quarterback of a championship team. I get where you're going, Tom Vallejo, but let's stop it. Let's stop it there. Let me look into the comments of Yinzer Life 77. Bud has been great this year, but was worthless for the first 4 years. Buy at 14 million years plus. Okay, great. You do that. Who are you replacing him with, Yinzer? Give me a name. Give me a name right now. Give me a name right now. And I see the oracle. Did I sleep through the rest of the season? Yeah, you did, Dave. You got your new microphone and you slept through the rest of the year. Dennis Waiters Jr. said Khan is 5 steps ahead. Max McCormick said Dave's getting anxious. Whoa, let me pause real quick. I want to let you guys know there's the super chat feature. I want to let you know again, like the videos, hit the super chat, subscribe to the show. We need 5,000 subscribers. When the Steelers beat the Buffalo Bills on Sunday, I want us to get to 5,000 subscribers. Also, I want to let you guys know we all got new mics coming in. Yeah, I don't know who's doing the show tomorrow, but they are going to get their mic. And when it comes to Stud Dupree, and we called him Bud Dupree for years, then he's young, he's athletic freak, big and physical. Have you seen Bud set the edge this year? Did you guys see Bud Dupree chase down Kyler Murray on the edge and tackle him for a loss? Bud is a physical freak, a savage, Steeler coached, young, athletic, has never really been banged up. It took a while, but guess what? In the National Football League, you get paid for what have you done lately and what they think you can do in the future. And because of his age, they think he has a lot of football, that his best football is ahead of him. And I would bet on that too. I mean, you guys will be lying if you're in a group chat, if you're talking about you think Bud Dupree and TJ Watt can't continue to be the premier edge rushing combo in the National Football League for the next several years. Y'all want Watt and Dupree. Y'all sign up for that law firm, the law firm of Watt and Dupree working on your case. Y'all know you want Watt and Dupree trying to get y'all out of jail. Come on, man, don't front. I called him Dub for years, but he balling. He balling. I'm not even going to use the verb. He balling. Y'all know what comes in between he and balling, and that's what he doing. He balling. He doing it. Give him his props. I want Bud to stay. I want Bud and TJ to keep doing that thing because they are doing that thing. Sign me up. And in fact, Nolan took it even farther. Hayward, Dupree, and Watt. Hey, I love that. I want that on the insignia when I walk into the office. Is this the phone number of you've reached Hargrave, Hayward, Dupree, and Watt? We specialize in collision insurance. Because that's what they do. They specialize in collision insurance. Victory Asher said, just subscribe. Now all you need is 4,999 more. We're close, Victory. And why don't you tell those 5,000 people so we can get to 5,000? Yeah, man. I need this defense to stay intact. Minka is here. The Minka effect is real. I need this defense to stay intact. I need that law firm of Watt and Dupree to stay intact. If there's a way to do it, I need I need Omar Khan. I almost called him Amir Khan, the boxer. Thank goodness he's not Amir Khan because he would have got knocked out several times. I need Omar Khan to figure it out. I need him to figure it out. It got to happen. We got to bring back this defense intact and dominant next year for the return of 7. That's a movie title. The Magnificent 7. The return of 7. I need the 7 back with this defense. I need it. I need it back. I absolutely need it back. And one of you guys in the live chat talked about Stephon Tuitt's cap number being $15 million in 2020. The problem with that is if you look further to the right in the column is the cap savings that you get and the dead money that you would have. Your dead money would be $17 million if you cut him. I don't think they cut Hayward. I don't think they cut Tuitt, especially if they can't re-sign Hargrave, that you almost by default have to bring back Tuitt. You just need Tuitt to stay healthy. Before we get off the program, I want to switch reels a little bit. You guys got any questions about the Bills game before we jump into it? If you want my official prediction of the Bills game, you got to listen to Wednesday's program. The Standard is the Standard. That's what you guys need to listen to. I feel pretty good about this Bills game. I don't think there's a lot of paths to victory against the Bills because the Bills are an elite defense, much like the Steelers. Steelers get much better pass pressure. However, I think they can really get after Josh Allen. I think they can really get after the Bills in blitz protection. I think they can do things similar to what the Ravens did against the Bills. So I want you guys to check into that program to get my prediction. Again, make sure you like the program. Make sure you subscribe. If you got a question before we close, make sure you hit the super chat. I will jump into that. No way the Steelers will sign Terrell Suggs. I'm surprised he just got cut this late in the year. Wow, that's a Christmas present. Oh, wow. No, I don't think they go that route. I want to thank everybody that jumped into the live chat. I want to thank you for the likes. But if you've been in the live chat and you have not liked the program, please like the program. Give us a Christmas gift and like the program. Please do that and support the program. Go to the show, support all the shows. Go to the website behindthesteelcurtain.com and make sure you tune into whoever does the Saturday program when we have the sexy new mics. Thank you, Cody Marshall. And Cody Marshall asked the question, who will see more snaps at running back? White got Jets. I think it's going to be Benny Snell. I think it's going to be Benny. No Jets. And I'm saying that because I think Benny Snell will be running the football to ground out the clock late in the fourth quarter when the Steelers have a lead. I would like to see Kareth White get more snaps because Kareth White does have juice and Jets. And I think he's a nice change of pace. Maxwell McCormick asked Lance, do you think we need Connor for Sunday? With that offense averaging 19 points, they need you on Sunday, along with me and everybody else that could possibly play some offensive football. True that, you're right. I would rather watch BTSC than ESPN. I would agree. But I need some help in my background. I'm trying to upgrade my background as well. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and conclude the show. Make sure you tune in to the show tomorrow. We're giving you guys 6 to 7 days of content, and we all got new sexy mics, so we're going to sound better than ever. But with that, we're going to conclude the program. And as always, tune in, tell a friend, and subscribe.